We are back with a new sci-fi action movie called Breathe. The movie takes place in 2039 when planet Earth was decimated in such a way that everything was destroyed. Plants could not live anymore and oxygen was not enough. We have a family of a mother and a daughter living on the O2 tanks that were created by their missing engineer father and husband. It was directed by Stefon Bristol. I didn't know him before this movie. I had never watched any of his work because he hadn't worked on any big projects before. But maybe this will be his kickoff into the industry. The film stars Milla Jovovich, whom I adore, by the way, since her Resident Evil movies, which a lot of people don't like, but I find them very entertaining. And I just love her performances in them. The directing by Stefon Bristol, which is actually my first time seeing his work, was a bit concerning because a movie like this with its story complexity requires strong directing efforts. It also casts Jennifer Hudson as Maya, Wallis as Quvenzhané, the great Sam Worthington as Lucas, and the American rapper and actor Common as Darius, along with many other actors. In short, the events of Breathe take place in the near future, let's say within 15 years, and the film depicts a world completely destroyed because oxygen has run out or become extremely rare, causing people to die just to obtain enough oxygen supply. We see a mother and her daughter as the only survivors from a whole family, struggling to survive and protect their oxygen sources, which are a unique oxygen tank made by their father who went missing while going out to give his old man a proper burial. The film was released in cinemas on April 26. I found it interesting when I saw its trailer because I couldn't quite imagine the story of oxygen depletion in the world. It's genuinely terrifying. The fantastic Jennifer Hudson plays the mother role. She really puts in the effort, I can't deny that. Of course, Jennifer is a talented actress, but the chemistry between her and Wallis was challenging. I felt like she was dealing with a stranger, not her daughter. Also, the relationship between the spouses and their daughter wasn't very strong. But I can't deny that, as actors, their performance was good. I saw effort, emotion, and tension from them that got me into the film's mood. All these elements succeeded in the film and made me want to continue watching. But I'll go back and say that my issue is more with the dialogue than the performance. The dialogue between the characters was simplistic and somewhat cold, even in the conversation between the girl and her father on the radio. The father had to bury his own father, who died because his oxygen ran out. So he had to sacrifice himself and risk going to bury him. The scene was very moving, but I feel like they treated death as if it were normal. No one seemed to cry over the man who had just died. The conversations between the daughter and her father about whom she doesn't know where he is now, or what happened to him, and the hope that arises every now and then when she hears voices on the radio, were completely dry. She talks to him about practical things as if she's not affected by his absence. Moreover, the dialogue wasn't fulfilling for me in terms of understanding many things. I had a problem with many questions in my mind. Like, did the father really die? Or did he just get delayed? And they assumed he died? And why did something like this suddenly happen in the world? The struggle for oxygen played a crucial role in the film's events, as did how the world outside is dangerous. And if you exceed a certain number of hours without oxygen, you can suffocate and die, as happened to the grandfather in the beginning. My issue with the film was also something I saw as a positive problem. I was so affected by the events that I felt like I needed to take a breath all the time, tense from the oxygen scarcity issue, and I sympathized greatly with the characters. The idea of destroying the world in this way is very impactful. There's no vegetation, no life at all. From my perspective, the cinematography was very ordinary. There was no exaggeration in the shots or scenes to make it memorable. On the contrary, the shots and movements were all simple, which didn't affect anything or bother me. Maybe it's because the director was playing it safe to not miss it, or maybe it was just because of the law budget they had. We saw very limited locations in the film, and the appearance of the city devoid of spirit or people, with the yellow color prevalent throughout the screen, made me feel like I also had a genuine oxygen deficiency. For me, the use of pale yellow and orange hues that indicate the lack of spirit and color in the world was very bothersome, and it received a lot of negative feedback from the audience because it was overdone. The focus on the detail that the house containing the oxygen source was the only one still vibrant with colors and life was an important detail. It's good that they paid attention to it. And anything they wanted to do outside the house became just a figment of their imagination. They couldn't do anything beyond the boundaries of the house. The film scares you about what could really happen if such a scenario occurred, and everything you want to do outside your home becomes impossible, like traveling to see the sea. As when the mother asked their home's operating system to play beach sounds. This might be a message to all of us to limit our abuse of nature and be grateful for our planet and resources, which will be limited in a short time if we keep acting and consuming as we are. Global warming is a real thing, ladies and gentlemen. The impact of the music and the manipulation of background sounds were good. I liked the tension that was going on. Strange people come and confuse the mother and daughter who are trying to live away from anyone and tell them that they know their father personally, and their emotions are torn between whether or not to trust them. The amount of anxiety portrayed, in my opinion, was exaggerated. Sure, they couldn't trust anyone and should worry, but the emotions displayed in the little action shown and the mother's performance, all of it felt exaggerated to me. I felt like they were trying to inject the film with an action mode through these scenes. After that, tension and suffocation over the oxygen source began, but this isn't the kind of movie that wants constant action and fighting without pause. I don't understand why the film is classified as a thriller and action. Human emotions were clear and dominant in the mother and daughter, who couldn't determine whether those they encountered were safe or not. For me, the beginning of the film was strong compared to its ending. It felt a little bit detached from the events in the second third, but it all came together and the fourth arc picked up the pace. The events unfolded quickly, and despite many unexplained details that needed a bit of background introduction about what happened to the world to end up like this, again, I think it was because of the low budget. But luckily, the movie wrapped up very well at the end, connecting the dots all together. But the idea of watching and feeling like the character's oxygen could run out at any moment, that idea itself is nerve-wracking. The moment their oxygen started running out, I felt like I needed to take a breath. The transition phase from mother and daughter constantly disagreeing and having conflicts as they tried to live and save themselves was interesting. I was pleasantly surprised that the ending was different from what I expected, because everything pointed to a sad ending, with everyone dying. But it was something more refined than that. In my opinion, it's one of the films with a low budget, but you won't feel it. On the contrary, you'll enjoy it. The film tries to convey the message and the image of a devastated world and the problems that the characters who are still living with limited oxygen will face in a very simple way. It's PG-13 rated. I recommend watching it even though it's rated 3.7 out of 10 on IMDb, which is a bit unfair because I think it is an entertaining and simple, moderate movie that won't leave you pissed off because you spend the time watching it. It's not that bad, and I think they produced a good film with what they had. As I said, the acting was fine. The camera shots were steady. Nothing bad or disturbing was going on, and nothing cringe was going on. So as far as I'm concerned, they did a good job. That's it. Tell me, what do you think about it if you've seen it? And if not, would you? Tell me what you think in the comment section below, and don't hesitate to drop any recommendations to watch. Tell me, what are you hyped for in the next video? And don't forget to share, like, and subscribe for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.